Oh my goodness, you guys. Hello, welcome to my video. I want to say that my trip to Florida was absolutely amazing. Like, it could not have gone better overall. I mean, I'm going to get to the hiccup that I got into on the last day, which is why I'm making this video right now, because what happened yesterday, even though I've been back for a few days, made it even weirder. Okay, so important life lesson I want to talk to you guys about. As you know, I was at Collecticon Orlando, had a great time at the theme parks the day before, a couple other activities. It was great. I'll get into it in the future. So we had to drive from Orlando to Tampa to get our flight back to Bradley. No problem. I committed to that. Got a one-way rental so I could drop it off at Tampa. All was good. We were at the loading gate like 45 minutes before the flight would take off. Perfect, right? Except when we get up there, they're like, oh, this flight's overbooked. You guys aren't getting on unless somebody doesn't show up. I was like, oh no. Like, I had things to do. The person I was with had things to do. Like, he had to pay somebody to watch his dogs. Like, it's just this whole thing. But okay, we're not getting on the flight. We're not going to throw a fit about it, because what are we going to do, right? Like, we can't just like throw a tantrum and magically get on the plane. That's not how it works. So we're just like, okay. And I'm like, what about my luggage? Like, you can't ship our luggage to Hartford and not us. And they're like, oh, no, you're not getting it. It's already on the plane. It's going to go to Hartford and you're not. And I was like, I have medication on there. You can't ship my luggage, even though I didn't. It was all of my personal item. Like, oh, medication, okay, we'll go get it for you. So yeah, if they ever try to ship your luggage and not you, you could say that and they'll get your luggage. So they get our luggage. They're like, thanks for being such good sports, you guys. And we're like, I'm really not, but I don't really have a choice in the matter. So then the manager is trying to screw us out of our compensation. So this is why I'm making this video, and this is why you need to listen. If you are ever involuntarily kicked off a flight, you are entitled to 400% of your ticket price. So we were each getting checks for, I think it was $1,300 roughly. And so that was $2,600 total for, $500 in tickets, just about. So the manager's like, oh, well, I wasn't told you were involuntarily taking a flight. I was told you volunteered, so we were going to give you a $500 flight voucher. I said, no, we're involuntarily kicked off the flight. We have to now go get a hotel. We have to get transportation to said hotel. We have to make arrangements because we're supposed to be back tonight. So they give us the money. The guy's arguing with us. He's like, well, I'll get you on a flight at 11 a.m. on American Airlines. I was like, fantastic. That'll work. He spent so long, like purposely spent so long, that we didn't get that flight. And then he's like, oh, I'll get you out of here at 5 p.m. tomorrow. I was like, oh God, okay. Like, the 11 a.m. flight would have kind of worked for me, but the 5 p.m. flight really didn't, but it had to. So he was arguing with us, and we filled out these forms, and he's like, is that your address in West Hollywood? I was like, no, dude, we filled out the forms. Like, you got our addresses here in Connecticut. Like, why aren't you? And then they purposely wrote the wrong address multiple times. This took about 2 hours. So he gave us like 5 different checks. So that was amusing. We finally find a hotel after like 15 tries. It was a half hour away in like the hood. Like, we were not cool being there. There was like somebody getting arrested in the lobby when we got it. It was like $350 or something obscene. It was like the most they could possibly charge for that hotel. The bed was fine, but the hotel was a little so I wound up, just taking what I take to sleep. I slept for like 12 hours, and then I got up, and he's like, what are we gonna do? We're not leaving till 5 p.m. I was like, well, why don't we go to the Hard Rock Tampa, because it's a mile away. They'll take our luggage for us and we can walk around there. So we did. We got on the plane, we got back, no problem. However, I deposited my check from Spirit Airlines. It was a corporate check from Spirit Airlines. The check bounced. They did a chargeback on the check and it bounced. They wrote me a check the providing bank was Wells Fargo. I took it to Wells Fargo and they wouldn't even cash it for me. Bank of America rejected it and said that I called them. They couldn't tell me why. I went into the branch and the manager called. She goes, they did a chargeback. So the compensation that they're required to give us, they did a chargeback. Now, my suspicion is that when he wrote all these checks with the wrong addresses, which I can pretty much guarantee the guy was messing with us, I think he voided out the valid checks by mistake when he voided out the other ones. However, they gave us bad checks. Like, I can't even wrap my head around this. Of course, I'm calling them and I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to get the check, or I'm going to get a lawyer. I mean, thankfully, I don't literally need that $1,300 to survive, but I had expenses from staying there an extra day. Like, I am entitled to that compensation. They need to give it to us. So the life lesson here is, if you're involuntarily kicked off a flight, or even if your flight is delayed, so if your flight's delayed something like 2 or 4 hours, you're entitled to that 400% compensation. Look it up online if you don't believe me. Every person that travels is entitled to this. And now this could make or break your trip. You know, if you spent $1,000 getting there, but you get $1,500 because your flight got kicked 4 hours, you know, that's great. Like, that takes a good trip to an even better trip, you know? So I'm fine without that money, even if it takes a month or so to get it. I will get it, though, out of principle. $1,300, I will get that money. But yeah, this is a life lesson. I have received money for this in the past. I think it was an Air Italia flight. I got €2,000 because the plane had broken down on the runway and we were sitting there for like 3-4 hours and they wouldn't let us off the plane. So every passenger was entitled to that money. You had to ask for it. I do believe they're supposed to inform you, but we asked for it and we got it after the fact. And we missed our connecting flights and barely made it back that same day. But yeah, that was pretty wild. The important thing is I'm back, I'm safe, I'm healthy, life is good. Way worse things could have happened, but this is a PSA announcement. Get your compensation, get what you're entitled to. These airlines rake us over everything. Those check bags cost money on Spirit. Your luggage costs money. It's just wild what they charge us for. You should at least get what you're entitled to. I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And yes, Spirit, charge back that check. I can't get over that. I can't get over it. It's so funny to me. It's sad, but it's funny. All right. Bye, everybody.